Hi everyone, it's Az here from HeelvsBabyface. We're going to be a little bit more relaxed for this video. Nothing to get stressed about here. Man, a couple of things. So, the second episode is out for Stargirl. The first one I thought was fine. Had a few issues, sure. Did some things well. Did some stuff very well. So, all in all, it was fine. Second episode. Is it going to hold up? Or is there going to be a little bit of cause for concern? Right. I gotta say, for the most part, I enjoyed the episode again. It was fine. However, there is a however. I am slightly worried about the character. And ironically enough, I'm not at all worried about the supporting cast. Because the supporting cast is fantastic. The villain was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So I was a little bit disappointed that she actually defeated him at the end and he's off the table for now. I am happy, however, that he's not going to be overused and they're going to bring different villains to the table. So, disappointed in one regard, but happy in another regard. Okay, 601. But the actual character of Stargirl has shown a few wibble wobbles in this episode. Which is really annoying because I think if they could do her a little bit better, then this would actually start to develop into a potentially really good show. Really fun little show. So, with that said, let's get into why. So we're getting to the minutiae as to what worked and what I think didn't work particularly. And there was one thing which they did do quite well in the episode, and then they kind of fluffed it at the end. But we'll get into it all. So we start off exactly where we left off in the last episode with Stargirl, Courtney, looking up at her, I think Sam, maybe, her stepdad, who's inside this robot. It's not a transformer, it is just a robot like this. So this doesn't turn into his car. It looks like a car because he's a mechanic, but it's not actually a transformer, or it doesn't seem to be at the moment. We only see it in robot form. So he says, let's get away from here because the villain was nearby. She just got away from the villain at the end of the first episode, who's now been named as Brainwave. Okay. So she climbs onto the back of the robot and they go fly off. All well and good. The villain, Brainwave, has managed to acquire her school ID, which is set up from the first episode. She had it done in the first episode. We saw it. And she dropped it during this fight. He picked it up, even though it was partially burnt. He had information to go off. Obviously, he'd seen her, and he had the ID, so he could try and run it through the school records, now knowing that she's at school. And even though the actress is 2021 in real life, the character of Courtney is now known to be 15 years old in the show. Okay, so I'm just kind of... And it's important that I say that because there was a criticism that I wanted to give, which I don't think I should. And we'll get to that part. Oh, it's all happening, isn't it? Oh, my goodness me. Stargirl. So, they go back to his whatever, to his mechanic's shop. And they have a little bit of a debrief on what had happened. Now, her stepdad says that Starman was not her father. He's adamant that it's not her father. She's adamant that he is her father. I'm wondering if there might be a bait and switch later in the series where it actually turns out that the stepdad is actually the dad, the real dad. Because we know that Starman was a neglectful partner, if he was her dad, in as much as he wasn't there a lot. He was saving the world, but it's difficult to have sympathy for him because he was portrayed as a dick in the first episode. So it's really kind of like difficult to have sympathy for the guy, which is really weird. So I'm just wondering if she fell into the arms of Luke Wilson. And when I watched the video back from yesterday, I noticed a couple of Owen Wilson slips. Yeah, so they have a little bit of a chit chat. Now, this is one thing that I don't get about the episode. Luke Wilson is constantly browbeat by Courtney, Stargirl. Luke Wilson is easily the best part of the show. Easily. Okay? This is the guy which is showing all the acting chops, all the range, who's dominating the scenes, who's causing us to have empathy for him, sympathy for him in some occasions, because he keeps getting browbeat. And Courtney is precocious. Now, this is where the age part comes in. I am a very similar age, probably, to Luke Wilson, as opposed to Courtney, who's 15, okay? So I clearly identify much more with this character than this character. So teenagers may quite easily be like, what's he know? He's just a stuffy old man. She's trying to do her thing. She's trying to be a hero. Maybe. I'm trying to give the benefit of the doubt. I'm trying to be kind because I do see care and attention in this show. And I do see some clever writing and I do see some good characterization. So I don't want to jump on the show and start tearing it apart when I clearly see there is a lot of hard work which has gone into this. Whereas with Batwoman, a show like that, you do tear it apart because they don't give a shit. Because the plot and the characterization is gay. That is it. But this is totally trying to tell a story. Absolutely trying to tell a story. And Luke Wilson in this episode shows tremendous courage, bravery, heroism, which actually inspires Courtney at the end, but the show kind of fluffs it. Again, I know I've already said that, but they nearly do so well, and then they don't. So she's all a bit meh. So we cut to this guy in bed with his wife. I think she's called Denise. She's quite hot, so I try and remember these names. And his son wakes him up and says, "Dad, I heard a noise downstairs." So his dad's just like, "You stay here, guys. I'm pretty sure it's just the cat. I'll go check." And they're just like, but. And he's like, "Come on, this is a small Nebraskan town. What's going to happen?" So he goes into a closet and gets this wand out. So he's clearly super powered in some variety, looking like Harry Potter, having a midlife crisis. And guess who's in the house? Our friendly neighborhood villain, Brainwave. So this guy is clearly part of the Injustice Society. And there is a plot. There's a plan ahoy. Without going into too much detail, there's a plan ahoy. There's a reason why they're here doing a thing. Okay? Kind of reminds me a little bit of Buffy and the Hellmouth sort of business. But there's a legit reason why they're there. So it sets up this character, I think, for the future. Because he doesn't do too much in this episode. And then his wife comes down and says, "Who are you talking to?" And he says, "Nobody, go back to bed. This is my business. I'll deal with it." And then she goes back to bed. And that bit comes back later to pay off again. So there is quite a bit of characterization and payoff. Or, I should really say, more character development that's because of this. So, we have another chat back at the house where he's just like, "You cannot be... Starman is not your dad. You can't be Starman. give me the staff. You're not going to use the staff again. I'm locking it away. The reason why we wore gaudy costumes and stuff like that is to protect families. That's why, you know, if somebody's looking at my stripes and I'm called Stripey, then their attention is elsewhere and it's not really about what's going on over here. They are more, you know, it's a little bit of psychology. I'm not saying it as well, but it's a little bit of psychology as the louder the costume, and the Justice Society had very gaudy costumes. The louder the costume, the more attention on the costume and not the visage, necessarily. Whatever. Okay, I'll buy that. I'll use my suspension of disbelief, sure. So he lies in bed after telling Courtney, no. And then he goes down to go through the records because the reason why he moved to this village is because the last survivor of the Justice Society, which I believe was Owlman, was following the Injustice Society around until they all set up shop here. Then he was killed. So he's come here to try and find out what they're up to and stop it, even though he's just a lowly sidekick. And that's why he built the Golemish car robot. And then he thinks somebody is about to attack him, and it turns out to be the dog. It was clever. So we have a little montage where he's attempting to design and use the suit, and he's firing off the fists, and it's not working, and it's all backfiring, and he's coming across as a little bit of a doofus. I get what they're trying to do here. But they're kind of making a really good character, a sympathetic character, a character you can empathize with. They're kind of trying to make him into a joke, and he isn't. He isn't a joke. This character is not a joke. There are other characters in the show which are jokes, and I'm really worried because I think they're going to become the new members of the Justice Society. Like I said, it does become the Diversity Society of America later on in the series. I know that. And those characters are coming across as cartoonish, superficial, and clownish. Because that's how they seem to write those characters. But Luke Wilson isn't. He's got depth. And he's well-rounded. And so I would say stop trying to make him a clown and a joke. He isn't. You're going to ultimately hurt your character. So they've all got cuts and bruises on them. Courtney's got cuts and bruises because of the fight that she had with Brainwave. And, oh God, hold on. And he's got cuts and bruises on his face, Luke Wilson, because of the montage with the robot, because he couldn't get it right and he kept mucking up. Now then, can we please go back to this guy here? Holy shit! What is this? What is this? Episode 2. I still don't know what on earth this is. This is Bud from Married with Children. I think that was right. The son, not the dog, the son. Whichever the son was in Married with Children. This is him. And he's there at the table, and he comes down and he's like, all right, Dad, where's my lunch? Where's my tea? Where's my breakfast? I'm starving. I've just been out with Sammy Davis Jr. We've just been crushing the pussy and everything, and oh my God, I'm just going to have a Marlboro. What is this? And then he sits there and he gets killed in his Switch game, and he's like, damn it. And his dad's like, language? He's like, what do you want me to say, Dad? When I was on the stage in LA singing to 60,000 people, we're like, hey, motherfucker, let me have a little bit of the pussy. No idea what this is. No idea. So Courtney is like, right, I'm going to steal the Starman costume and I'm going to make a costume that will protect my identity because of the conversation we had the night before about protecting family. So then it cuts to Brainwave's son, who steals some money from his dad's wallet, the help sees him do it, and he's just like, hey, go make me some eggs. Then his dad calls him into the office, says, hey, son, I'd like to talk about the other night. Were you defeated, beaten up by a girl, and did she blow up the car? And he's like, I don't know. And he's like, I know when you're lying because you can read minds. And he's like, I don't know, it was dark, maybe, I'm not sure. And then his father, and I tell you what, the casting of these two is great. The casting is great. This guy actually looks like this guy's son. I mean, physically, he's not as tall, but he does physically, in the face, look like he could be this guy's son. So the casting is actually really good on these two. And then he does, son, I want you to tell me what I'm thinking. And he's trying to see whether his son has the same telepathic acumen as he does. And his son's just like, I'm going to have to take the bus to school. You're not going to drop me off. His son doesn't have the aptitude. Or at least, not at the moment. Maybe in the future, but not at the moment. And he's just like, oh, fine, I'll drive you to school on my way to the hospital, where he works at the hospital. So Courtney's at school. She goes into the, I don't know what class you would call it. There's a bunch of sewing machines. Sewing machine class. Woman get in the kitchen class. What? That's a joke. It was a joke. You got to do the hoovering before you can get in the kitchen. Right, so she tries to cut the suit and the scissors break. Clever. Like it. The suit is a little bit tougher than it appears to be. It's not just plastic. Then she tries to stitch it with the machines, but it burns out the machines. So she has to systematically go through all of the sewing machines. And then when she finishes with the costume that she wants, she turns back and all the costumes, all these sewing machines are burnt out. It was fine. It was funny. Fine. I get it. It was good. It was good. It sets up that the suit is stronger than it appears to be. So why she shows off her midriff, I don't know. That's the weird thing, okay? Why would you expose your midriff? That exposes you to plenty of injury. See, weirdos? I'm actually thinking this one through based off the person, because she's just a regular person. She's not like Wonder Woman, who's got super speed, super reactions, etc., etc. So, we go to the tyres, I don't know, the tyre factory manufacturers who the mum works for. And this is her boss, and he's asking for ideas, and she gives ideas, and he keeps shooting her down. And that's the scene. Luke Wilson goes into the gym where Crusher is trying to eat a burrito or something, takes the burrito off him, and then puts him through a terrible intensive course on his first day, which as a trainer is wrong. I know they were going for giggles here for Luke Wilson to try and bulk himself up and get some muscles for the fight and everything. And I know it's played for comedy, but wrong. So it's back at school. It's lunchtime. Courtney goes back to the rejects table. Now then. God damn it. Right. This. I am absolutely convinced this girl is going to become part of the Justice Society. This is what we call a cartoon character. This character so far has been played as unrealistic and... Okay, that's how the character comes off. You have really good development so far, even with Courtney, even for her flaws, with Luke Wilson, with the mum, with the major villain, even little good bits with the major villain's son. There's some really good characterization going on with that group of characters. This is a cartoon. This is a joke of a character which I cannot take seriously. And when I can't take a character seriously, I can't empathize with them. So she's having lunch with her iPad with her parents. It's really sad. Anyway, the villain Brainwave comes in and then uses the partial high school ID to try and work out who she is, but he can't. But there's going to be an open day at school, and his son goes to that school. So he's like, thank you very much indeed. Parents' open house. So they have this little milling around, and look at them. That could be father and son. That could be father and son. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong. They aren't, but that could be. They do have a very similar scowl to them. So he's going around, and they've got this like, which is him scanning to try and find her. It's good. This is another cartoon character. This is another pathetic cartoon character. Just mean girl for the sake of mean girl. Pathetic. Come on. Do better. His trainer's there. He sees him trying to sneak some cookies. Funny. This guy, I don't know, he'll probably end up being a Justice Society member as well. He does sneak a cookie eventually. Bangs! I don't know if literally, but bangs into that guy's wife from earlier in the show. Denise, she's hot. You're hot, Denise. And she clearly is attracted to Mr. Lukey Wilson. Some development's going to happen here. Maybe not reciprocated, but something is going to happen between these characters. Setting up for later. Then Courtney sees Brainwave. And he says he attacks her mind and she's powerless to stop him. And he says, you bring the cosmic staff here at midnight or I will kill your mum. And I'll do it real painfully and I'll make it look like she's had a stroke so nobody will know. So he does a very intimidating villainy thing. And I'm like, I like this guy. I mean, I like the actor. The actor's playing it really well. And the guy's coming across, the villain's coming across as a serious threat. A legitimate threat. Which is why the end angers me a little bit. So she's like, what should I do? What should I do? So she goes and finds Luke Wilson. And she says, he says that I've got to take the staff to him at midnight, otherwise he's going to kill my mum. So this is where Luke, after all of her being she has been a bit of a precocious brat all throughout the episode. He gives the speech. He gives the, look, take your mum and go. Take your mum and go. Get out of town. Save yourselves. I'm going to go and fight Brainwave. And he knows that he'll probably be going to his death. But he inspires Courtney. He puts that, he plants that seed of, look, this isn't a game. This isn't a joke. If you want to be a hero, it's about selflessness. It's about sacrifice. It's about protecting others and saving people. That could have come into effect in the first video today for a certain journalist. So he gets her to go. He gets into the armor and she has a chat with her mum and then realizes that she has got to go save. This is where something goes a little bit wrong. So she changes into her Stargirl outfit. Wait, hold on. Luke arrives, attacks, but the guy just is deflecting everything. Throwing cars at him, throwing skips at him. And Brainwave is just like, wah, wah. Even throws his fist back at him. So Courtney dresses up as Stargirl and then literally just... In the last episode, she didn't have control over the staff. The staff had control over her. Or the staff was reacting to her emotional state. It was something like that, but she wasn't controlling it. Suddenly, she's wielding it like a 15-year-old veteran. Where is the development? That was my Sephiroth steel case edition for Final Fantasy VII Remake that fell off the PlayStation. Well, actually, that's a little bit of a lie. It fell off the Xbox One X. If she's immediately proficient with the staff, the cosmic staff, where's her growth as a character? So she arrives in time to save Luke, and she's just amazeballs. This is the problem that you have. She now has turned into the Mary Sue. She has no challenge to overcome. She is dodging everything with her gymnastics. She's deflecting everything with her staff. She's using her staff really proficiently. Yes, she gets pinned down and she drops the staff. But if the staff hadn't have rolled slightly out of her reach, she would have been fine. So we get a little bit of bravado from the villain, who's just like, I'm going to really hurt you now. It gives Luke Wilson the opportunity to shine his light into the guy's face to blind him for a second. Courtney grabs the staff, and then she short-circuits his brain with the staff. She puts the point there, and it short-circuits his brain, and he collapses, and he ends up in a coma, and they take him to the hospital. And the doctor is just like, the only person that can save your father is, ironically, your father, because he's, you know, brain. Not that she knows that he's psychic, but he's obviously a brain surgeon because of it and stuff. So Sun is angry. Sun will obviously find out that it was eventually Stargirl that did it. Sun will become new Brainwave. That's where I'm thinking this one's going. And then we get a little bit of browbeating at the end. She's like, hey, you can be my sidekick. You're my sidekick. You're a bit of a joke character. You're my sidekick. And he's not. He's not. And then we end up by saying, well, who's next? Because we just took out Brainwave, which again is frustrating in one respect, but good in another. Good that they're not going to overuse him. Bad in the way that he was setting himself up really nicely as a good foil. So next on the list, it looks like it's going to be Solomon Grundy, which will be fun. Suddenly we're going to have brute force instead of minds. See how that one works out. So there's a lot of positive stuff here. I know this one's going on a little bit. There's a lot of positive stuff here, but they're quick. Fast tracking is the word I'm looking for. They're fast tracking the character, and you shouldn't. Courtney has to go through a learning curve with the staff, with her character. And at the end of episode 2, she's great at everything. Great with the staff, great with gymnastics, taking out a major villain. What challenge can she not overcome? So now, I'm not massively invested in her because I think she's already amazing. So she has to have very quickly, a crushing defeat. Very quickly. To ground her back, to develop the character once again, to build the character back up again. But if we see her take out Solomon Grundy with just as much ease as she took out Brainwave, this is going to become quite a boring show. And as much as you're not going to feel the threat from the opposition. So, score-wise, again, I'll give it a 6. 6.5. It's kind of around that bracket. This one doesn't go up to the 7. Whereas yesterday was between a 6 and a 7. This one is between a 6 and a 6.5. There are good positives. There's, the writing's pretty good. There's some very good characters in it. There was some growth, and there's good production. There's good direction. But there are some cheats going on, some shortcuts, some fast tracks going on, which are only going to detract from the show. If you like this video, again, I'll jump onto episode 3 when it eventually comes out, end of the week, weekend, whenever. And we'll see where episode 3 goes. But I hope you enjoyed the vid. If you did, do give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel. Follow me on social media and YouTube for live streaming. Links are in the description box down below. And I'll be back with some more stuff very soon. You take care. Bye for now.